Hey guys, it's Rich with your Monday Spot on the Pagan Perspective, and this week we're talking about the elements. Our first question comes from our very own Tim, who asks, which element or elements do you feel the most affinity with, and how does it affect your practice? Our second question comes from Yucca, our very own, who asks, what is your take on the elements? So, okay, I'm going to answer the second question first question second, so that's how things are going to roll here. And for me, my take on the elements is it's about balance. Now, this is in the ceremonial aspect. Whenever I'm in circle, everything needs to balance out. Everything has representation, everything is called, everything has its work that it does to maintain the harmony of that circle, that protection of the circle. So, to me, that is what my take on the elements is in a ceremonial use, in a ritualistic use. As far as spellcrafting, it gets a little bit murkier. To me, I try to have parts of each element in each spell that I do. If I'm burning an incense, that's air. If I'm burning anything like a candle or incense, that's fire. If I have a vessel, I can either incorporate that as water or earth. If I'm using incense, an herb, then that is earth. If I am using an oil, that is liquid, so therefore I go with an earthy water. So that kind of, goes with the anointing of the candle if I do a candle spell, which mostly I tend to do. So that tends to be the earth because it comes from plants, and the water aspect because it is a liquid. And I put those together, and it all kind of takes on its own balance, and it does the work. Really doesn't matter in the long run, as long as if you know why it works for you, and in my mind, it kind of works for me. So, therefore, everything's okay. So, as far as which elements or elements do you feel the most affinity with, and how does it affect your practice? Well, I used to say that I feel parts of all elements, and lately, especially within the last couple years, I've been noticing that I am more and more of an earth type. I have no problem just like, boom, being down and grounded and just being here. But it is getting increasingly harder for me, as I am an earth type, to have that light and airy feeling to me, or sometimes to have that fiery passion, or to have the emotional water type that other people have. So for me, I am very much an earth type. And one thing that it actually helps me do is it helps me be more logical and more methodological. I'm more methodic in my spell crafting. I think through it more. I'm not one of those people that say, oh, here's cedar wood and boom, that's it. That's all I have to do. No, I am not one of those people. I need to look at, okay, these are cedar wood chips, and they are good for this, this, and this is what I can do with this, but I also need to combine that with some copal resin, and while I'm at it, some lavender, and, oh, by the way, while I'm at it, why not some juniper berries? Because why not? And I need to look up each one of those aspects, and what they mean for me, and what they mean historically, what they mean from an aromatherapy type of aspect, what they mean by a health aspect. It takes a lot more for me to get to the point of actually saying, I'm going to use this copal because of this, this, and this. It takes me a while to actually methodologically, and I don't think I'm saying that correctly, to go through all of the properties of one ingredient, which actually helps me even more because I know the reason why I'm doing everything that I'm doing. And I'm going to set this down before I end up, tossing it at the camera and whatnot. So, going through and knowing the properties of each herb or each resin that I tend to use or want to use in a spell, it makes me actually think through my process a little bit more of why I'm doing what I'm doing and what is the purpose for each ingredient. Now, in my practice, I tend to be more of an energy worker lately than an herbalist. I don't as often take my cedarwood chips out and start casting about, or my galangal, which I have these herbs just sitting around, who knows why. But I am not one that really deals with all the herbs and incense like I used to. Nowadays, I'm tending more towards the candle spells, or I'm going more towards the energy spells, where I'm sitting there gathering up my energy as an earth type, being grounded and whatnot. It tends to be kind of easier for me to do at times. And working with those energies and making sure that what I want to have done, I am putting into that intention and sending it out that way. For me, it becomes more of a way of spell crafting than having all the stuff, which nowadays I'm not all about the stuff as much as I used to be. You know, baby witch me was like, oh, I need to have all of it. All of it. I want herbs galore. I want it to look like a giant apothecary. You know, it looks so beautiful. And it does have that witchy aesthetic. But to me, for my spell crafting, with the element of earth, it's getting kind of just more grounded, more centralized on what do I want to do. If I want to just burn this candle and, say an incantation and burn the little petition, then that's fine. If it does the work, that's great. But if at any random time I want to pick up some cedarwood chips and make a delicious smelling incense, then yes, I will do that as well. But those incense don't necessarily, for me anymore, need to be part of a spell craft or necessarily even part of a ritual. So I do like the aesthetics, the smells of the witchiness, but it's not exactly something that's really in my practice as much as it once was. So, witchy aesthetics, yay, love them, but being the earth type that I am anymore, not really as needed. Though I will keep them because witchy aesthetics, yay. So yeah, I think I talked more about witchy aesthetics here than I did the elements, but yeah, element of earth, more methodological or more logical, I guess, more deep in thought, more cathartic than I once was whenever I was little baby witch. Hey, throw this and this together and watch the weird shit happen. So, anyway, I think that's all that I have for this week's question. I will see you all next week. Until then, may you have love, hugs, and ladybugs.